Formula One fans. It is race day and the weather in Brazil is quite nice. The forecast for the 3 days of the Grand Prix was for rain, but except for a little bit yesterday, we pretty much escaped the rain. So hopefully it will stay away for the rest of today and we'll get a nice clean race in. They are right now, as we start this podcast, they are in the formation lap. And if you remember, it's Mercedes 1 and 2, and then Red Bull 3 and 4, and then behind them is Carlos Sainz and Ferrari. So we should be in for quite a day, quite a race day. Mercedes, of course, will be looking for their first win of the season. Lewis Hamilton is looking for his first win of the season. If he does not win one this season, this will be the first time in a long time, probably 8 or 9 years, that he has not won at least one Formula One race. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. They're coming back up into the grid and taking their starting positions. And the light countdown has started and they are off. And George Russell is out in front, and as they come up into the first corner, it is going to be Russell, Hamilton, then Perez, Verstappen, and off they go through, and everybody seems to be getting through the first corner just nicely. As they come up to the second corner, look out, we've got a rear end, and now it looks like Magnussen and Danny Ricciardo. Looks like Danny Ricciardo's front wheel clipped Magnussen's right rear wheel, and that spun him around, and then Danny Ricciardo just could not avoid the front end of Magnussen's car, and they are both out on the second turn here on the first lap. So that is going to bring out a yellow car as they clean those two cars up from the side of the track. That's a real shame. Magnussen had such a great day yesterday, and here he is out of the race altogether as they go through the second turn. So bad luck for both of those guys. Don't know who really was at fault there, but that's not going to make any difference now. They're both out of the race, and the yellow flag is out, and of course the yellow car will come out as they complete the lap. So we'll be looking at probably 4, 5, 6 laps of a yellow car here. So not a lot going to go on for the next 5 minutes, I guess. 10 minutes, no, not 10, but 5 or 6 minutes as they clean these cars off the track. While they're doing that, let's take time to thank another sponsor. In this case, we're going to thank Inform America. Inform America is an organization that has been put together to kind of foster as an incubator, as you will, for conservative sites, websites, social media sites, things like that, to try and get and promote more of the conservative message, much like the Democrats have done an excellent job of getting sites out there that promote their message and different things. So Inform America is one of those sites that's helping. One of their sites is Off the Press, which is also a sponsor of this podcast. And so if you can, please go out and get out to their website, maybe make a donation. If you've got a good idea for a newsworthy site, then certainly they'd be the guys that maybe could help you out. So that is, go to Inform America. Again, that's informamerica.com. Okay, so we should be returning to racing after, let's see, we're on lap 6. So I think the safety car is going to come in the next laps. That will be lap 7, and then we'll be off to racing again. And in fact, the safety car has come in, and lap 7, and we're just waiting for George Russell, who is leading this race, to come in, and then when he goes, everybody can go, and he is gone. And they are off and going up into the first corner. They make it around. It's Russell followed by Hamilton, and Max Verstappen is making a move on Lewis Hamilton, and he's taking the outside. No, Hamilton's on the outside, Verstappen's on the inside, and now there's no room for Verstappen, and they've both gone off the track. Russell has gone off to the left, Verstappen has gone off to the right. They are both in the race still. They've both managed to maintain control, but there's some pieces come off the left front side of Verstappen's front wing. So I don't know who's going to be blamed for that, but it looks like, in fact, Verstappen saying that Hamilton didn't leave him any room, in which, if you layman looking at him, you would say that's true, but also Hamilton's wheels were ahead of Verstappen, so maybe Verstappen should have backed out a little bit, but that will be up for the stewards to look at and take care of, and determine what, if any, penalties will be needed. But right now, Max Verstappen is going to go from third all the way down to probably the last place, because he has got, well, not the last place because there's already 2 cars out, but he's going to drop down to 17th position, as they're going to have to bring him in and replace that nose cone on his car. And in fact, as we say that, he has gone and exited into pit lane, and they will change out that nose cone. That's typically 8 to 10, 15 seconds to do that. So we'll watch and see how long they take. He's pulling up right now, and the old nose is coming off, and the new nose cone is going on, and Max Verstappen is back out again. So right at 10 seconds. Right at 10 seconds to change out the entire front nose cone on that car. That's just amazing. But like I say, that's going to put him all the way back in the back. So we're now up onto lap 8. Lap 8 is actually just coming to an end, and we're about to start lap 9. So we're coming up on lap 12 now, and just an FYI, that altercation put Lewis Hamilton all the way back in the 10th position. So he's got some work to do to work his way up through the field. So right now we have George Russell, followed by Checo Perez, followed by Carlos Sainz, in that order. So that's your top 3 right now. Probably not going to change. Russell is about 1.5 seconds ahead of Perez, so they're pretty much holding each other's speed there. It looks like Perez might be about 1/10 of a second slower on the laps going in, because I see the time ticker there picking up a little bit as they come around, and he seems to be opening up a little bit of a lead, with Carlos Sainz just kind of matching Perez behind him, but 2 to 3 seconds behind Perez. So it's going to be interesting here to see, one, if George Russell can maintain this lead, stay ahead of the Red Bull, because as you know, the Red Bulls are about 7 miles an hour faster down the straightaway than the Mercedes. And there's 2 good straightaways here. There I go again, talking like I'm at the track. That comes from being at the track in Austin a couple of weeks ago. But this particular track in Brazil, there's 2 decent straightaways where the Red Bulls can make up any time that and actually cut the gap on the Mercedes down the straightaway, and not losing too much through the corners either. But like I said, right now George Russell is doing a very good job of opening up just a tiny bit more of a lead as they go around the track. They've got a little clocks right there on the side of the TV. If you watch them closely, you'll see them changing by 1/10 of a second at each different portions of the track, especially as they go down the straight or they come out of a corner or something. So let's keep watching and just see how things keep working out here. So it's obvious that Lewis Hamilton's got a fast car. He is already up into 4th place. So there's the top 5 places right now are Russell, Checo Perez, Carlos Sainz, and Lewis Hamilton. And then 5th place is Lando Norris. So that's he's having quite a good start to his day. Although he did say yesterday that it would be difficult for him to finish really in the top 10 because if they feel like the car doesn't do well as the tires become degraded. But anyway, we'll keep watching and seeing what's going on. Max Verstappen is now up into 15th place, so he's made up 2 places from where he was after they placed that nose cone on there. But he's nearly a full 50 seconds behind George Russell. So, but there's still lots and lots of time left. This is a 71 lap race. So I would not expect to see Max Verstappen down there even under the top 10. I fully expect that he'll at least make it to number 10 or even maybe into the 9th place before this race ends for the day. But we'll see. Checo Perez is having a really, really nice race. The gap has opened up. It's now at 1.8, 1.9 seconds. So Russell is pulling away from him ever so slightly each lap. Like I said, right now it looks like it's about a tenth of a second per lap that Russell is opening up the gap on. And Perez is maintaining the 2 to 3 second lead that he's had on Carlos Sainz. So it's going to be interesting to see when Lewis Hamilton is going to start challenging Carlos Sainz for a bit of the lead. These tires that they're on, we all expect that they're going to be making most of them on soft, some of them are on the intermediate. As an example, Max Verstappen, when he lost his nose, went in, then they changed out the tires for the medium compound tires, obviously because he doesn't expect to be able to challenge for the front, so he wants to try and cut down the number of stops from here on as much as he can. But we should see them coming in, maybe at lap 2022, we'll see them start coming in to change tires, but let's see how it goes. So we're just going through lap 20 here, and I guess Carlos Sainz is going to try and pull an undercut, probably on Sergio Perez, because he has come in for tires at lap 20, which is a couple of laps early. So that, of course, has moved Lewis Hamilton up into 3rd place. So we've got Russell, Perez, and then Hamilton in 3rd place, and so it looks like Carlos Sainz will probably come out in about 8th or 9th place after the tire change. So it's very interesting that they've decided to take tires this early. But like I say, if they're thinking about the long race strategy, if they take tires now, and even if they do decide to take, say, a set of softs and with say 14, 15 laps to go, it should give Carlos Sainz a good chance to make second, or even if he doesn't make second, then certainly to get ahead of Checo Perez and come in 3rd. So that would be assuming that the 2 Mercedes are going to maintain their position. Of course, they've both got to come in for tires, but so the lead that they've built up is good enough, and the cars are performing well enough to that, so that the tire changes. Remember, all the cars have to change tires, so they're all going to go through the same reiterations. But depending on when and what type of tires they're putting on, really just affects the top, 4 or 5 players. Lando Norris, for some reason, has dropped back a little bit into 6th place. I don't know why that is, but like he himself said, he did not expect to really perform that well as the race went on, and that of course was due to the tires. At least that's what he said, and no reason to discount what these drivers are telling you as the race goes on, or even before the race gets going. Okay, so Carlos Sainz has come out in the 8th place, and interesting enough, Lando Norris has made back that 1 space. He's now in 5th position, and Valtteri Bottas, who appears to be having a really good day, is in 6th position. So, but your top 3 have not changed yet. It is George Russell, Checo Perez, and Lewis Hamilton. So it's not going to be long here that I see that Perez is going to come in for tires. In fact, it looks like Perez has been given the instructions to box. So Perez is going to come in for tires, and we're coming into lap 23, 24 here. So remember what I said, that they'd start changing out tires somewhere between 22 and 24 laps. So we'll see how that undercut that Carlos Sainz made against Perez. We'll see how that plays out. We'll see where Perez comes out here in relation to Carlos Sainz, and maybe Perez can get a really good tire change and get out and maintain his position ahead of Carlos Sainz. But we'll find that out in just probably a lap here. Yeah, in fact, a lap. We'll find out exactly where Checo Perez is going to end up. So yeah, it's going in now into lap 24, 25, and in fact, Perez did maintain his position over Carlos Sainz. So you've still got the two Mercedes up front. They've got to be coming in for tires soon. You got the two Mercedes up front. You've got Carlos Sainz behind them, and then Sebastian Vettel now has moved up into the fourth, fifth place. And then Valtteri Bottas, for whatever reason, has dropped back. But remember, all of these guys now are starting to cycle on the tires. So when they get into the pits, the pit guys make such a huge difference to the car's position when they come back out. 1 to 2 seconds inside the pits can cost them 1 or 2 places inside the race grid. So it can't be over kind of emphasized how important those pit guys are to these guys winning the race. And not only just the pit guys making sure that the tires get changed fast, but the strategists who are calling what type of tires to put on. Do we go with the soft? Do we go with the hard? Do we go with the medium? So right now, as they all cycle through, it looks like most of them are going on to the medium tire. So that would tell me that everybody's going for a two-pit strategy or two-stop strategy in this race, because the soft and the medium are not good enough to get them all the way through. So that everybody be looking at changing out those medium compound tires at around lap 50, 55, and then hoping that the soft tires that they will finish on will give them that extra speed and traction that they need to really kind of move up through the field a bit. So as we come up on lap 30, so we're getting close to halfway through this race, 71 laps, so 35 laps is we're about halfway, and the top 3-4 positions have not changed. However, position 5 has changed. Lance Stroll is now up there, along with Fernando Alonso. So very interesting. And like I say, these positions are changing because of the pit crews. Like I said, 1 to 2 seconds inside the pit, and really inside the top 10. You know, the amount of time between all of these guys is only 2 to 3 seconds tops. So a little delay in the pits, 3 to 4 seconds instead of 2.5 seconds, can make a large difference in their position when they come out onto the track. Remember, they're limited to 80 miles an hour on the pit lane. So they've got to get from 80 and then back up to speed. Now, don't get me wrong, getting back up to speed in these cars is 4 to 5 seconds top. So from 80 to, say, 180, 190 is only 4 to 5 seconds, because as they come out of the pits, then it's it's on one of the straights, so they've got a fairly decent straight to kind of make up some speed there and catch up with the field. But still, it is, like I say, this is a game of half seconds and quarter seconds. It's almost like swimming. In swimming, half a second, less 1/100th of a second is what swimming goes down to. And in fact, Michael Phelps in the Olympics won one of his gold medals, in which he won 8 gold medals, won it by 1/100,000th of a second. So it's not too much different here in Formula One. tenths of a second, hundredths of a second makes a huge difference. So inside those pits, they take a little too long, and then all of a sudden the guys are dropping back in the field. So anyway, let's see how the next 5 to 10 laps play out, and see where we are going into, say, lap 35, 38 here. Well, we're at lap 28, and George Russell has just come in and taken tyres and got back out again there, and he is going to maintain his lead over Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz. So really good work by his team there. And I know you're saying if they're only a few seconds behind, how did this happen? Well, remember when they pit, everything moves back about 20 seconds, say, from 22 seconds. So then, the second and third and fourth places behind the leaders drop back that much. But then when the leader comes back out, as is happening right now, well, Lewis Hamilton is leading right now, but Lewis Hamilton's going to have to come in for tyres, and he'll come out behind them all as well. So right now, George Russell has come out ahead of Perez after taking his tyres, and it will only be a lap or 2 laps, and then we're going to see Lewis Hamilton drop off. So it'll be really interesting to see where he comes back out, because right now he's leading. Will he come back out in the lead? Again, it's going to depend on the tyre changes, and then also how much time has Perez and Sainz cut off his lead, because they were on newer tyres and he was on older tyres. Remember, as these tyres age, they lose grip. When they lose grip, they can't get through the corners quite as fast. So they're losing maybe a tenth or 2/10 of a second every time they go through a turn to the cars behind them with fresher tyres. So let's just see where Hamilton's going to come out. He's about 10 seconds up on them now, so my gut feel is he's going to come out behind Perez and Sainz, and he'll end up coming out in 4th place. But let's wait a minute and let's see how it goes here over the next 2 or 3 laps. And Hamilton did pit, and he did take on tyres, and he did come out in 4th place. And behind him is Fernando Alonso, who's doing very, very well. And coming back up in the field, he had dropped down to 8th place, is Valtteri Bottas. So the Bottas in that Alfa Romeo is starting to drive like we've expected to see him for the last half dozen races. He went through a kind of really bad spot there where he was finishing in the bottom 5, but I don't think that's going to happen to him this week. Right now, he is in 6th position. So we've got Russell, Perez, Sainz, Hamilton, and Fernando Alonso, and we are just finishing up lap 30 here. So coming up, we are now at lap 38, and Lewis Hamilton has passed Carlos Sainz to take 3rd position away. So now we have Russell, Perez, Hamilton, Carlos Sainz, Alonso, and then Valtteri Bottas. So as you remember, Carlos Sainz took tyres about maybe 8 to 10 laps sooner than Lewis Hamilton. So Hamilton has used the superior grip of those newer tyres to get past Carlos Sainz. So it's going to be, we're at lap 38, so I would say that Sainz is probably going to last another 10 laps, maybe 12 laps on those tyres, and then he's going to change them out again because he's losing ground to Perez and obviously to Hamilton. And George Russell now has built himself up quite a decent 3 to 4 second lead over Perez. So I guess the question is going to be now is when and can Lewis Hamilton get past Perez? Perez, although he's been up there in the top 3 all day, he just doesn't seem to quite have the pace that the Mercedes has. They seem to be able to get, a 1/10 or 2/10, sometimes 3/10 of a second off him on each lap. And that would tell me that he doesn't have the pace. Now, doesn't he have the pace because the car's just not handling that well through the corners? Because we know the car is 6 to 7 miles an hour faster on the straightaways. So there's got to be something that he feels that the car is not sticking to the road well enough through these corners as the race is going on. And of course, the tire degradation has a lot to do with that. Now we're on lap 45, and in some ways, it's you know, the first few laps was pretty exciting, but since then it's got pretty boring. Just kind of watching the cars behind the top 5 or 6, kind of jockeying for position all the time. I will say that Max Verstappen is all the way up into 9th position now, and he's stopping for tires again. I guess it's tires, but Verstappen looks like is going to take on another set, probably soft compound tires for the final part of the race here. But other than watching Verstappen come up, it's the top 3 or 4 that have really made the difference. And of course Hamilton now is in 2nd position. So we have Russell, Hamilton, Perez, and Sainz, and then Valtteri Bottas rounding out the top 5. So he's just having himself an amazing day today. Alfa Romeo has got to be really, really happy with the way things have gone. One note of interest is that Esteban Ocon was warned not to fight with Fernando Alonso for position on the track. That if he could overtake him cleanly, that he was to do that, but he was not to fight for position. So very, very interesting things coming down there from the team. For instructions for the drivers. He was not a happy camper hearing that. He said, you know, he's out there to race, and race he's going to do. So we'll see what goes on as the race, especially as it gets closer to the end, and we're really fighting for positions and points. And as we come up into lap 50-52 here, Lewis Hamilton has stopped again for tires, and that has dropped him back into 3rd position. Behind Sergio Perez, so I would suggest we're going to see Perez come in for tires as well, because he's been on those tires quite a while. It's interesting that they brought Hamilton in this early to finish out the race on tires, but that's what they've done. So your top 4, again, it's the same 4 drivers. Actually, the top 5, the top 5 has not changed. They've just changed orders as it be, but again, Valtteri Bottas is having himself a great day. Verstappen, after he got that 2nd set of tires, dropped back to 15th. He is now back up into 11th position. So it's going to be really interesting to see here that we've got right at 21 more laps to go. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these guys battle it out to the end. But right now, with the performance of these Mercedes cars, I wouldn't be surprised to see Mercedes 1 and 2, or certainly maybe 1 and 3, with Perez in there at 2nd place. But it's a little early to tell right now, but it's certainly shaping up that way as we get down here to the last 21 laps of the race. And lap 53, and we have a virtual safety car, but I would guess it's going to be a full safety car, because Lando Norris has come to a halt. Lost power, and he has just coasted over to the side, pulled his car off, but not far enough off to where they're going to be able to not have, I would think, a safety car, because they're going to have to come up and pick that car up and take it off. Judging by it, I would say that something in the hydraulics went wrong, because he couldn't turn that steering wheel to get that car to go off way off the side road, because where he stopped was where there is an exit for the safety crews to come in there and pick the cars up, but he couldn't turn those wheels to make it happen. So these cars without power steering, the width of those tires and the grip that they have on the road, you don't turn that wheel, especially not going at any rate of speed. You do not turn that wheel to get that car to turn around. So can't tell what the big problem was. Listening to it, it just seemed like all of a sudden the car wouldn't accelerate and just started cruising down, and he just found the safest place off to take it off and see what's going on. So anyway, you're going to see, in fact now we are going to see a virtual, not a virtual, but a safety car. We're in a virtual safety car right now. So that's going to be it. You're going to see some guys jumping in for tires. In fact, Verstappen and Perez are going to come in for tires. Maybe a little early, I'm thinking, because with the virtual safety car, they have to maintain speed and position. When the full safety car comes out, then they can all bunch up together, and that's when the guys that have been lapped get to move over to the front and stuff like that. So I would guess probably 3 or 4 laps, maybe 5 laps here with the safety car, and then we should get right back to racing again. And the guy that this affects the most is George Russell. George Russell had got himself a nice 5-6 second lead on the rest of the field. The rest of the field, of course, to him is the guy right behind him. But he had opened himself up a nice lead, and now, of course, with the full safety car, that's going to disappear. They're going to get out right behind him. So you're going to see, a really, really interesting restart here, and see if George Russell can hold off his teammate, who is the guy right behind him, Lewis Hamilton. Or if Lewis Hamilton, with the experience that he has behind him, is he going to be able to jump in front of George Russell and win this race? Because we're going to be, when it gets going again, we're going to have about 10-15 laps left to go. So that one, if Russell gets off to a good start, can he hold off Lewis Hamilton? And the other thing being, if he doesn't get off to a great start, can Hamilton pass him on the restart? And if Hamilton passes him, can Russell then get ahead of him again? Because remember, they have to wait 2 laps after the restart before they can use the DRS. Now, they can only use DRS, which is the drag resistance system. They can only deploy that if they're less than 1 second behind the car in front of them at the checkpoints. So there's certain points on the track where they're allowed to use DRS and other points where they're not. So it's a lot of things coming into play here, kind of making this a little more exciting as it gets towards the end. So we are getting ready for the restart, and the safety car left the track about now, or is leaving the track about now, and so they'll come down around. So the question here is George Russell going to take it all the way to the end of the straightaway before he decides to get going? Because he's the guy that decides when the race actually restarts. Whoever's in the lead decides when, after the safety cars left the track, he decides when, in fact, the race is going to restart. Or is he going to do it here right at the beginning of the straightaway and hope that he can build up enough speed on the straightaway? Remember, Hamilton can't use the DRS system, so he doesn't have that threat. The only threat that he would have is can Hamilton get in and do some drafting, and then maybe get him right at the end of the turn. Well, we're finding out. He is off, and he is off just as they go into the straightaway, and he's holding them off right now, and it's going. He's up there, and all the way down the straightaway, going into the first turn, and Russell is maintaining the position. Hamilton is about half a second behind him, so Russell got a really good jump on the field there, more importantly on his teammate, and then they are followed by Perez, who is then followed by Science, and in that restart, Leclerc managed to get up and pass Valtteri Bottas for fourth position, 1, 2, 3, fifth position. So very, very interesting there on the restart. As we work through the first lap, Max Verstappen, by the way, is all the way back in the 10th position. So not a lot of changes for him over the last 10 laps or so. But remember, he did stop for tires again, so that will have knocked out. So that's a 3-stop race for Max Verstappen. So interesting strategy going on. It's going to be interesting to see where he ends up. We've got right at now 10 laps left in this race, and as we come back around, for lap number 61. George Russell has about right at a 1.1 second lead on Hamilton. So even if the DRS was available to Hamilton right now, it would not do him any good because he's outside that 1 second mark. So it's going to be interesting racing here going on. At least finally we get some, in the last 40-50 laps, we're starting to get some real maneuvering and some real racing going on that we can really get excited about, because before then it was really just tire changes and stuff like that. Other than we had at the very beginning was exciting, and then of course when Hamilton and Verstappen got into it, it was exciting. But other than Lando Norris dropping out, has pretty been much follow the leader or tire change strategies that have just affected the top 4 or 5 positions. So and now it looks like George Russell has opened up a 1.3 second lead on Hamilton. So if he can maintain that for the next, it's 8 laps now, then he is going to be a very happy camper at the end of today. And now Perez has just been passed by Carlos Sainz. So Perez now is out of the podium position and Carlos Sainz is in. And if he's not careful, then he's also going to lose out to Leclerc. So we'll just have to watch here. He is really struggling to hold off Leclerc and come in there and maintain his 4th position. So let's watch as going. And Max Verstappen is now up into 8th position. So he just took off 2 cars at once. He just took off the AlphaTauri and one of the Aston Martins both at the same time. So that was a really nice move on his part. All right, so only 4 or 5 laps to go, and Leclerc has just passed Carlos Perez, and now he is a threat of being passed by Valtteri Bottas. In the meantime, Verstappen is up into the 7th place. So kind of a lot of maneuvering going on now in the top 10 positions here, and not a good end to the day for Checo Perez, as obviously there's something with that car that he can't make it stick or whatever it is. But certainly as the day is worn on, that car has lost whatever it had at the beginning of the race. And he is now going to be passed by Valtteri Bottas, and he is now down into 6th place. And the guy right behind him, as we come into lap 65, 66, the guy right behind him is his teammate, Max Verstappen. Now, is Verstappen going to be asked just to leave the positions where it is? Because Perez is in a tight battle for 2nd place in the World Championships behind Leclerc. And right now, if it finishes this race finishes right now where it is, where Perez is, Perez will remain 4 points ahead of Leclerc in the battle for the 2nd place. If Verstappen passes him, then that'll drop him back to dead even with Leclerc. So it's going to be interesting. In fact, the team has just come in the radio and asked Verstappen not to pass his teammate to maintain that position. And Verstappen's come back and said that he feels like he can get up there, maybe into 4th place. And so they've given him the go-ahead to go. And so as we come up here now, up onto the straightaway, and we get to the end, Verstappen takes his teammate on the inside and moves up now into 6th position behind, I think that's Alonso or Bottas, one of the two. Let me take a look. And in fact, it's Alonso that he's behind. As the cars are moved around, gets confusing sometimes. But so the question is going to be now, he's 3 seconds behind Alonso with 4, well, not quite 3 seconds, 2.8, but still with three laps to go. Can he make that up? Going to be tough, but if anybody could do it, I guess it would be it would be Verstappen. The question would be, if they get to the last lap, is Verstappen going to be asked to drop back? If he can't get past Alonso, is he going to be asked to drop back and give his teammate Perez that position back? And we've just heard on the radio again, apparently it looks like Esteban Ocon is also coming up through the ranks, and he thinks that he can get up there, but he has been instructed again not to fight his teammate for position. So that team does not want happening to them today what happened to them yesterday, where by fighting each other, all they were succeeded in doing was putting each other at the back of the grid. So 2-3 laps to go, and I don't think Verstappen is going to catch Alonso. He is still at 1.8 seconds, and he would have to be making up at least 1 second a lap to be able to take that position, and I just don't think that he's doing that. When I look at it's taken him really 2 laps to make up nearly a second, so he's gaining by about half a second, but it's not going to be enough. So I'm sure that the team is going to come back and ask him to give that position back to Perez. So we'll see as we get closer to the end here. And it does not look like, and in fact, George Russell now has opened up 1.9 second lead on his teammate Lewis Hamilton, which would suggest to me that Lewis Hamilton has eased off a little bit, being satisfied with second place, letting George Russell win this race, and letting Carlos Sainz come in. So Charles Leclerc has just asked his team to let Carlos to give him third position so that he can open up a points lead on Checo Perez. But I don't think that's going to happen. They're not going to take a podium finish away for one driver to try and give another driver more points like that. But I guess it was worth asking. But it's not going to happen. It's going to end now as we're in the last lap. It's going to end, and so the team has just come on the radio and just asked Verstappen to give the place back. And Verstappen very firmly told him, "I told you I do not do that. Don't ever ask me that again." So I wonder who's running that team. That was crazy. He was talking like he was the big boss. Well, he is the big boss right now. He's got them a Constructors' Championship, and he's got himself a World Championship. So it is going to end that George Russell is going to win his very first Formula One race. So a big day, a big weekend really for George, because he won the sprint yesterday. He's winning the race today, and his teammate is now coming in at actually nearly 3.5 seconds behind him. So he really slowed off there during that last couple of laps. And then followed by Carlos Sainz. So Carlos Sainz had a struggle at the beginning of the day, but some good strategy from Ferrari this time, and he comes in third position, followed by Leclerc, followed by Alonso, and then followed by Verstappen. And unfortunately for Checo Perez, he was not able to hang there in the top 3 and really make a good amount of ground on Leclerc. But the good news, bad news is, all he has to do to come in second place in the World Championship is come in ahead of Charles Leclerc next weekend in Abu Dhabi. So that's going to be really, really good. So as the race is ended, let's thank our final sponsor for the day, and that would be Phenology. Folks, as you've heard me talk about many times, there's a lot of data comes out of these cars, and data needs a data center. Just like your business, you generate a lot of data in your business, and your business needs a home, and that home for data is a data center. Phenology is an independently owned data center in Austin, Texas. They have both a private and a public cloud for your websites, for your office to be hosted in, or maybe you're a gaming company and you just want to develop your games, or you may be an engineering company that's developing applications. Then you need to think about Phenology. That is Phenology.com. Again, that's Phenology.com for all your data and co-location needs. So finally today, let's go ahead and thank again our producer and technical guru, Andre Kuhn. Thank you, Andre, for another great week and another fabulous job of getting rid of all of my mistakes. And I don't know why today that we probably had a few more than usual, but I know you'll do a great job of getting rid of them. And so again, thank you, Andre Kuhn. And until next week, this is Jonathan Steele with the Formula One News Hour signing off.